Welcome back to another video. Hope you are having a great day. And I heard that on the last video about the Asus Prime Z890 you weren't satisfied with those motherboards, so instead of two, now I brought three, and instead of Asus Prime I brought Asus ROG. Now these have the same chipset Z890 that to support the latest CPUs from Intel Core Ultra Series 2, which besides ramping up the performance as you have seen probably in some benchmarks, they also boost up on the AI tasks that we will be able to perform on our desktops. We have seen some interesting laptops, but from now on we will be seeing here on the channel some of the desktops with the AI capabilities. But before we do any setup, let's go and take a closer look at them so that you can see some of the details, and if you are looking for one of these, that hopefully this video will help out. That being said, let's go straight for it. And if you are watching this video on your Windows 10 or 11 computer and you still haven't activated and can't even edit your desktop icons, don't forget to check out CDKeysales.com, where we can find budget official OEM keys at an affordable price, and with the coupon code that you can see on screen and down below on the video description, it will get even cheaper. And besides Windows 11 Pro, if you are looking for Windows 10 or even an Office suite that we can aggregate directly to our Microsoft account, you can use the same coupon code, which will give you the best price possible at this moment. So just in case, the link will be down below. And starting with the Asus ROG Z890-I gaming Wi-Fi, which is the smallest of the group but not the least interesting. The cooling solution is just awesome. Besides the passive cooling here, it also has active cooling. We can see the fan right over here, which will cool all this area, and then another fan right over here, which will cool this area. And this area is quite special. I can open it like this, and then with this grommet here I can open this part, which will give me access to the two M.2 SSDs that we can put right over here, PCIe 5.0, and then just put in the SSDs, remove this tape, and it will use the thermal paste to make contact with the heat sinks and have a great cooling solution. Now I can just close it up. In terms of RAM, we can put in two DDR5 sticks, maximum of 96 gigabytes. In terms of cooling, we can see a pin header right over here and then another 3 right over here, so a great solution even for this small size. RGB if we want to connect any LEDs to our motherboard, and then the PCIe 5.0 with safe slot right over here, also with PCIe 5.0. One of the things that we might notice is that, hey, I don't have any SATA connections, but do not worry, because there is this small gadget right over here, which is the FPS2 card, and it will give us 2 SATA ports along with other connectivity. To use it, it's quite simple. I just need to connect it to these 2 connections right over here. So I just need to press it down, push it, and there we go. We have 2 SATA ports right over here, just in case you use it. Looking at the back, we also have an HDMI output, 2 USB 2.0 ports for our peripherals, a Thunderbolt port USB Type-C for here, and another one right over here. So 2 Thunderbolt 4 connections, 1 USB Type A 5 gigabit, 1 2.5 gig Ethernet port, and then a USB Type-C 20 gigabit bandwidth, and 3 USB Type A 10 gigabit. Now, as we have seen on previous Asus motherboards, it also has the Wi-Fi 7 connection Q antenna, which we just need to press it down, and there we go, connectivity made. And to remove it, we just need to push it, and that is it, which is really cool. We don't need to screw. And then at the bottom, we also have the BIOS flashback button right over here, which is really useful. Now, there's one more accessory right over here, which is the ROG STrix IF2, and we can control the power button. We can also control the flex key, which we can customize, volume buttons, and it will give us extra USB Type-C and USB Type-A connectivity. And this one right over here will connect to our computer and to our microphone and or headset that we want. So really cool accessory, and with the LEDs right over here. And now looking at the ROG STrix Z890-E gaming Wi-Fi, which is in a different league. It looks awesome. It has the polymer lightning right over here on top of the cooling system, and it's capable of supporting 7 SSDs M.2. And we can start by that. If I push this right over here, I can lift this heatsink, which is really cool and well built, and it will unveil the M.2 SSD 5.0, which is right over here, PCIe 5.0, and we can use the Q slides to put in the SSD and lock it. Put it back, I just need to push it like this and then push it to the top, and there we go, the heatsink is completely sealed. But this is just one of the M.2 SSDs. If I remove this heatsink right over here, which also looks and feels really cool, there are two more SSDs M.2 PCIe 5.0 hidden right over here, which we can use the quick release from Asus. And while we are on the storage, if I remove this heatsink right over here, and if I remove this heatsink right over here, it will also reveal 4 extra M.2 SSDs. So one right over here, 2, 3, and all of these PCIe 4.0 and these 3 PCIe 5.0, so 7 in total, which is massive. Now there's the PCIe 5.0 right over here with the safe slots as well, as we have seen previously. In terms of RAM, 4 DDR5 DIMM slots, which will take a maximum of 192 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. Looking at the cooling connectivity, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 right on the top, and then 1 right over here on the bottom, another one, and another one, and another one. So we are talking about 4 and 4, 8 for connectivity in terms of cooling solution, which is just awesome. There's also RGB connectivity here at the bottom and RGB connectivity here at the top. In terms of SATA connections, it has 4 SATA connections right over here, and it has several USB headers, including Thunderbolt headers as well for the case connectivity, depending on our case, of course, and some manual controls that we can use. Now, if we take a look at the back, there's a DisplayPort output and HDMI output, a clear MOS button, which is really useful here at the outside of the motherboard, a BIOS flashback, and then 2 USB Type-C 4 or Thunderbolt 4 connections with 40 gigabit bandwidth, 3 USB Type-A 5 gigabit bandwidth, 7 USB Type-A 10 gigabit bandwidth right over here, which is awesome, and then 2 USB Type-C 10 gigabit bandwidth as well, with a 5 gigabit Ethernet port, and the Wi-Fi 7 connectivity system with a built-in antenna, which is included as well. We just need to press it down like we have seen previously, and that is it. No need to screw any antenna at all. And then right at the bottom, the 3.5 millimeter audio output and microphone in, along with the optical output as well. And now with the Asus ROG Maximus Z890 Extreme, which is extremely heavy. This is really well built. All of the motherboards that we have seen so far are great in terms of build quality, but if we take a look at this one here at the back, it looks like a tank, really well built. It has this built-in 5 inches LCD screen right over here, which we can, if we need, push it right over here, just in case we have a fan or something like that blocking the way. We can adjust it the way that we want. In terms of the cooling solution, is awesome, and it will take 6 M.2 SSDs, 2 of them right over here. Actually, we can start with this accessory. Now, this accessory will connect here where it says DIMM 2. Now, it looks like a normal DIMM, but it's not, and it has this accessory right over here, which prevents anyone from placing in a normal RAM slot right over there, or RAM stick to be more precise. Now, this is the ROG DIMM 2 Generation 4 V4, and to open it up, we just need to push this up, and there we go. We will have access to one of the M.2 SSDs right over here, and if we want to put a second one, we will have space available right over here. But to fully open, we will need to remove this screw. Then we can have access to both sides, just placing the SSD, M.2 SSD, and there we go. We can close it back on this side, then move back these brackets right over here, bam, and bam. So a really elegant solution. And if we want to place it in, I just have one way, which has this hole right over here, and I will just need to put it and push it down like so, and there we go, just like I would be inserting a dim stick. I can put it like that and it's just awesome. So two M.2 SSDs right over here, which is really cool indeed. Talking about dim, this motherboard will support a maximum of 192 gigabytes of RAM right over here. In terms of the SSDs, we have seen two, but there's also one more right over here. Probably you have seen this design on the previous models that we have seen, and I just need to push it and bam, it will reveal another M.2 SSD, but this one right over here is PCIe 5.0, which has the quick release from Asus, which is called the Q Slide. Right over here we have PCIe 4.0, PCIe 5.0, which has this opening right over here, so it's really easy to put it back. I just need to slide it like so, and then push it back like this, and then with this handle just push it, and there we go, completely solid right over here, the heatsink. But there's more. If we remove this cover here, which is also a heatsink, as we can see for the SSDs, we will find 1, 2, 3 extra SSDs, being that this one and this one are M.2 SSDs with PCIe 5.0, and this one right over here PCIe 4.0. So we are talking about 3 PCIe 4.0 M.2 SSDs and 3 PCIe 5.0 M.2 SSDs. It also has 1 PCIe 5.0 and 1 PCIe 5.0, so 2 in total. And if we take a look at the bottom, we have a lot of connectivity, which we can check on the link down below for the functions of every button that we have here. There's also labels all around, so we don't need to be a technical guy to know what's this and what's that. So a lot of connectivity, including headers for our case with USB 20 gigabits and USB 10 gigabits, besides the 5 gigabits right over here, SATA connections, USB 5, radiator fan right over here at the bottom, another 2 fan connectors here, fan, and there's another one right over here at the bottom. So a lot of connectivity for the cooling system, which is really cool. Now, looking at the back, the IO shield is awesome. It has the BIOS flashback and the clear commands, which is great. HDMI output, 2 Thunderbolt ports, so USB Type-C 4 with 40 gigabits of bandwidth each. It also has one USB Type-C 20 gigabits, USB Type-A 10 gigabits, a 10 gigabit Ethernet port, along with a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port for redundancy. It also has a USB Type-C 10 gigabit, and this one, all of them are USB Type-A with 10 gigabit. This USB Type-C here is also 10 gigabit. Finally, the Wi-Fi 7 connectivity, which is similar to the models that we have seen on the previous videos. And if we take a look, it's just a matter of using the Q antenna connection from Asus. I don't need to screw it, and bam, there we go, we will have access to Wi-Fi 7. And then finally here at the bottom we have the optical digital out and the 3.5 jacks for line out and mic in. And these are the first impressions and hands-on on these 3 motherboards, which are quite different, but in my opinion each one of them have certain details that will capture our attention. Now obviously the Mini ITX is the one that has less features, less connectivity because of its size, but nonetheless it has some really interesting things like the M.2 slots right over here with in-sync and active cooling, and besides everything else that we have seen so far. So hopefully this video was helpful in some way, and if it was, don't forget that usual thumbs up right over there, which is really appreciated on this side of the screen. My name is Roberto, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.